What's going on, guys? Happy Homebrew Wednesday. This is going to be a Puka NC style Homebrew Wednesday. Mostly because he paved the way for not having to put on a shirt to do a video, which I appreciate, Brad, and because I don't like wearing clothes. Once I get home and I'm here for the night, I pretty much get in my underwear immediately, flop on the couch, grab a beer, and watch TV. So if you're my neighbor, my apologies. You need to get better blinds. But yeah, it's finally stopped raining here in Denver. So where I live, we didn't. I mean, it rained a lot, but it wasn't that foot of rain, 18 inches of rain. So luckily, my house got off unscathed from the rain. But that's not the case for a lot of Coloradans. But aside from that, I've got some pretty exciting brewing stuff coming up in the works in the next day or two. I don't know if I'll be able to get to it tomorrow, but maybe the day after. But I'm going to be brewing the R&R Coconut IPA. If you guys didn't get a chance to have that IPA, I feel sorry for you because it was a very good IPA, but it came from a fellow YouTuber, Ryan, and he won a contest that Stone put on, and he got his homebrew version brewed commercially and sent out across the country. So that was pretty cool, and he did a Q&A question, and he put the recipe on there, and you can go and watch it. And I really enjoyed the beer, the coconut IPA, and also enjoyed the coconut aspect of it. So I put that on my things to brew within the next couple brew days. And I also started 2 weeks ago. If you guys are unfamiliar with this brewery, it's called Cricket Stave, a pretty small brewery here in Denver. But they do they either do 100% Brett beers, brettanomyces. They do sour beers, things of that nature. They don't really do your typical Saccharomyces beers. So they either do 100% Brett or Brett and Pediococcus, or full-on sours. And they do really great stuff. And I try to keep at least a handful of bottles around at all times. But I harvested some of their Brett from a 100% Brett beer. It's called Hop Savant, and made a starter with that 2 weeks ago. I started off with on the stir plate with I think 600 milliliters of 1020 Wort, and then I let that go on the stir plate for a week, 7 days, and step that up to about 1800 milliliters of regular 1040 Wort, and that's been going for another 7 days, so about 2 weeks total. One thing about Brett is it doesn't replicate as fast as Saccharomyces. Everything that I've read says it takes about 7 days to culture up, so you want to do a 7-day starter, where instead of a 24-hour starter for normal Saccharomyces. So anyways, back to the point. So I have 1600 milliliters of Brett starter going downstairs. That's looking pretty good, pretty healthy, and I'm going to brew the coconut IPA. But I kind of just decided this tonight that instead of doing the 6 gallons or so, I'm going to step it up to a 10-gallon batch. So I'm going to do 5 of the gallons of 100% brettanomyces fermentation of that Brett yeast that I harvested from the bottle, and then the other half, what Ryan actually suggested, is a San Diego super yeast. So I actually have a beer I need to rack into a keg that has that I use San Diego super yeast with. So I will have plenty of yeast for that version, or that 5 gallons. So it should be pretty interesting. I was just going to do the Brett beer, and I was thinking, man, it's kind of a shame. It's a recipe I've never done. It's going to be ultra hoppy. It's going to be a ton of stuff going on, and I would like to be able to pull out the Brett flavors or whatever. And then I was like, might as well just bump it up and do a clean fermentation with one, and then do the Brett. So pretty excited about that. One thing, I've never brewed with just Brett. I have a couple sour beers going right now, but to do a 100% Brett beer is going to be new to me. So everything that I know is that Brett basically acts very similar. If it's 100% Brett, it acts very similar to a Saccharomyces or normal yeast. It's pretty clean. It can get fruity. I mean, it can get kind of horse blankety, but for the most part, it's cleaner than most people think. And actually, there's a bunch of different strains of Brett. And the Brett I'm using, I have no idea what strain it is, but I know what it does. It's pretty clean, a little fruity in that hop savant that it was pulled from. So anyways, to get to the recipe of it, if you watch Ryan's video, he basically lays out the clone for the commercial version, and he kind of talks about what he did differently for the homebrew version. And I'm going to follow his homebrew version instead of the commercial version. So, and I have to do a few different things different. He has some hops. I have like, I don't know, 5 or 6 pounds of hops in my freezer. So I'm not going to buy any hops I don't have. Luckily, I have everything. I have Centennial, Amarillo, Belma, Citra. That's Amarillo, already said. Belma. So basically, I'm going to sub a Calypso with Cascade hops, and instead of using Helga, I'm going to Helga. I'm gonna sub with Cascade, and he has Calypso on here, which I'm going to sub with just more Citra. So, anyways, it's good. It's pretty close to his version as far as I can tell. But one kind of funny thing is that since I'm doing a 10-gallon batch of this, I was kind of looking on here. If you go to rackers.org/calcs or whatever like that, they have this really cool "Can I mash it?" thing, and it basically will tell you if your mash tun is big enough for the pounds of grain. Right here, you can enter in. So I'm roughly going to have 31 pounds of grain for a 10-gallon batch, and let's say 1.25 quarts. And you hit calculate, and it says that you need 12.17 gallons of space. Well, it just so happens that my mash tun is 12.5 gallons. So it's going to be full, which is fine. It doesn't really matter. I shouldn't go over, whatever. But yeah, to keep to that recipe and do a 10-gallon batch, it's gonna be really full. But anyways, I'll wrap this up. Be looking for a video in the next couple days, maybe, of a brew day video. I'm gonna try to keep that short. And I'm going to try to send Ryan, at least Ryan, 2 bottles, one of the regular and one of the Brett beer version. Maybe send a few others out to some other YouTubers that maybe do beer review. Like the one thing that I am going to speculate is if I don't like the beers, or I'll say this. Let's say the Brett beer turns out really bad, and the clean version turns out really good, then I'll send out both versions and feel okay about it. But if they both turn out, for whatever reason, I mean, I use fermentation control. Most of my beers turn out really well, but I've made shitty beers, I'll admit it. And if they don't turn out good or great, then I probably won't send them out. I'll do a review, and that'll be it. I might just say, I'm down a 50-pound sack of grain pretty much. But yeah, so I don't really like to share bad homebrew which is kind of unusual because I've been to some homebrew meetings and some of that homebrew sucks. And I'm going, I would never bring this. But anyways, I rant on. Anyways, yeah, Puka NC style homebrew Wednesday. Looking forward to this brew day. 100% Brett. Yeah, I think that'll do it. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching, and keep an eye out for the video and the Brett. And Brett should take about the same time as Saccharomyces yeast to finish up, maybe a few days longer, 10 days. You know, it might need to condition just a little bit longer. But all right, we'll see you guys later.